It's time to pick a side. The Border War is on the air with BG and TanMan.
All right, everyone, welcome into episode 81 of the Border War. I'm the TanMan, and I'm joined in the studio on a big sports week for the Border War by BG. I want to start off by saying thanks to everyone who is listening and downloading the shows. You guys are super awesome. You can follow us on Twitter at the Border War. You can follow BG at BG_Border War. I'm at TanMan3264. And you can also email the show your picks, your thoughts on the show, how we're doing at CarolinaBorderWar@gmail.com. BG, we are a few days away. Thanksgiving Day, the biggest day, in my opinion, of the NFL season. And this year we've got a classic matchup: the Redskins and the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. I love it.
It's one of those things where I don't know. Pro rivalries are obviously a little different than they used to be since the advent of free agency. I don't think these players hate each other the way they used to. Most of them have. We've probably got, what would you say the over/under is on Redskins and Cowboys that are on current rosters that have played for the other team?
Well, I don't know.
I'd say 7 or 8.
Well, I was going to say, I know you guys just added one this past weekend. I know you're really excited about that former Cowboy ad, Mark Sanchez.
Well, he's brought in to be the backup. I mean, that's you got to sign somebody. You got to sign somebody to be the backup quarterback. So
Colin Kaepernick is still out there.
I saw somebody ask a legitimate question about Kaepernick this morning on Twitter. Has anybody asked Colin Kaepernick, is he interested in playing in the NFL? I don't even know that he wants to play in the NFL. Maybe somebody's put feelers out there and he's been like, "Nah, I'm good."
I'll say this. They said the Denver Broncos did ask and try and get him to come in, and he wouldn't come for what they wanted to offer. All indications are, everything you hear about him is that, yes, he's training, and yes, he's ready to come back. But I'm with you. I don't know how much of that is for show.
Don't you think in his mind there's at least some, with all the, I don't know what you want to call it. He's got a lot of baggage he's put on himself, and I don't mean it in a good or a bad way. I'm not trying to get political, but there are people who really look up to him. There are people who really hate him, right?
Yeah.
Now, if he comes back into the league and plays really awful, it's good. Even though it shouldn't have anything to do with his political stances, it's going to affect all of that.
Well, if he ever got another shot and he played terrible, he'd go away. We'd never hear from him again. It'd all be over.
And if you do want to come back in, maybe you shouldn't play for a team that just got their quarterback's leg broken in 3 places.
I was gonna say, that's where we were going to start. The Redskins, the Border War the Border War curse is alive and well. I said here on this show for weeks, I said I thought the Washington Redskins were the team to beat in the NFC East. And what do? You go out and Alex Smith breaks his leg in 19 places and basically ensures that the Dallas Cowboys are going to be stuck with Jason Garrett as a head coach for another year.
I get what you're saying. Do you really think that it has that big of a football impact on this?
I think, yes. I think that if Alex Smith had stayed healthy, I think you guys would have won the division. You might win Sunday, you might win Thursday, you might not. But I think you guys still would have wound up winning.
We obviously have 2 games left against the Eagles. Haven't played the Eagles at all. I'll say this, though, that, I still think you guys are good. I said you were going to win it before Alex Smith was injured. But here's the thing. You have to win Thursday for that to happen. I think if you go down 2-0 against Washington, then it's very unlikely the Redskins are not going to win the division. Even if they lose both the games to the Eagles, because the Eagles,
you'd have 2 games up on us. You're right, but we're operating under the assumption that Dallas wins the game. But I think that this is
the hilarious thing.
I think this devastates the Redskins on a short week. Having your quarterback's leg snap off in the middle of a stadium.
Oh yeah, it's an interesting question though, from a long-term standpoint. We've talked about Alex Smith at his age and wondered sort of aloud, what was the Redskins' long-term plan, right? We talked about, I think I asked 2 weeks ago maybe, do we draft a quarterback this coming year? And I think if the draft was stronger, in the quarterback game. You might have seen the Redskins draft a quarterback this coming season. It all goes back to the RG3 trade, right? I mean, that was the plan. And so when that doesn't work and you've got Kirk Cousins on the roster, Cousins, I think, was a 4th-round pick, right? Mm-hmm. Let's try him. He's on the roster, okay? He ends up playing overall. You got to say he played better than RG3 did for the entirety of his stay in Washington.
It's not even open for discussion,
right? So, I mean, the plan still goes back to the fact, though, that Cousins was brought in to sort of be a safety valve. Ended up being pretty good. Colt McCoy was clearly brought in to be a safety valve. And let's throw this out there. He's won in Dallas before.
The last time Colt McCoy won a football game as a starting quarterback, it was against the Dallas Cowboys.
Yep. And so that's possible. How old is McCoy now? He's obviously younger than Alex Smith. Not significantly younger.
I would say he's probably in his early 30s. I think it was 2010 when they played Alabama, and he got hurt in that title game. He was a senior, so you figure so he's probably 30. Somewhere, 30, 32.
He's no more of an actual...
a couple years younger.
Even if he were to go out and just light the place up, he's no more of a long-term solution than Smith was. It's a curious question because I keep going off the Joe Theismann situation. Obviously, that was the last play Theismann ever played. But like I told you on the phone yesterday, I mean, that was 33 years ago. Doctors are better. You say the release says... He's expected to make a full recovery.
I saw something that they're calling, 6 to 8 months.
It's not like Smith relied on his legs anyway. He just needs to stand up.
They're not. It doesn't seem that this is going to be a career-ending thing like it was for Theismann. Theismann had some other things going on that cost him. So I think Alex Smith will wind up being your quarterback at some point in the future. Whether or not he's ready to start the year next year, I don't know. But like you said, for right now, it's Colt McCoy. I know you're a little higher on McCoy than I am.
It's not so much that. It's just that Smith was not playing well and hadn't played well in about a month. I mean, he had really not been playing good football. Had been kind of forcing the football more than normal.
Colt McCoy has got 6 games to finish out the season. They said he hasn't started that many games in a row since his second year in the league.
Yeah.
So 7 or 8 years ago. He hasn't really played much football at all.
Right.
In about the last 4 years. I think he made 4 starts, 2013 or 2014. But Alex Smith, he won 81 of his last 117 games. So say what you want, Alex Smith was still chugging along. He was still doing his thing in the last few years, especially in Kansas City, while Colt McCoy just sat on the bench.
Alex Smith has a better record with not as good of a roster as Kirk Cousins does in Minnesota. I mean, that's for all the people who want to say that was a stupid trade when you needed somebody because you weren't going to pay Cousins. It's just it's the NFL. It's bad luck. This is where we are now.
Here's the thing. You talk about Alex Smith has not played well the last few weeks. In my opinion, from a non-Redskins point of view, Adrian Peterson, you guys rode the wheels off AP the first half of the season. The last 3 weeks, he's averaging a shade over 3 yards a carry. He is kind of starting to hit the wall that we wondered on. We talked about it. Wondered how long would it be before he kind of looked like he was in his early to mid 30s.
Yeah.
And it looks like right now
he's still busted off a couple of long runs Sunday, but you're right. I mean, he's not consistently getting the yardage.
The last 3 weeks, he's not been great. On the flip side, the Dallas Cowboys, ever since the trade for Michael Gallup, I know that's been a controversial topic. Did they give up too much for him? Maybe they did when you look at some of the other guys who got dealt at the wide receiver position and the price that the teams paid for those guys. But I don't think you can really make an argument that while the offense hasn't
you mean
turned...
Cooper, not Gallup.
Cooper, excuse me.
Yeah.
While the offense hasn't exploded, in my opinion,
helped you.
As I say, in my opinion, we look much more balanced and much more complete. And Dak Prescott, in the short time he's been there, I think getting him on the bye week really helped. But in the short time he's been there, Prescott and Amari Cooper seem to have found a rapport with one another that, for whatever reason, he never did really find with Des Bryant, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean I think that stuff is is not overrated. I mean, the relationship between a quarterback and it
deal.
could be not a personality thing. It could just be a physical rhythm thing, like that you just don't feel their pattern of running, can't sense what they're up to. I think Dallas has all the momentum, if you want to say it that way, going into this game. But like you and I are both sitting here, I mean, yes, the premise of the show, we're in first place. You don't really feel like this is a very high stakes game, though, man. These two teams are fighting over a prize that nobody should want, and that's a road game in some place like Los Angeles where you're going to get boat raced.
Well, you're going to get a home game,
maybe.
Maybe you're a division winner. You're going to get a home game, but that home game is going to be Minnesota.
Well, we've had those home games.
It's going to be maybe Carolina. We'll talk about that here in a minute. You're going to get a formidable opponent in that home game, so it's no guarantee. But no, I'm still very, very unhappy that you guys have done this to us.
Well, maybe that was the plan all along.
I think it's
the master plan.
I think you guys looked around and going, they're kind of teetering, man. This fire Jason Garrett thing is starting to pick up some steam.
We need to make sure that doesn't happen.
Let's snap off Alex Smith's leg out in the middle of the field so we can make sure we keep.
I'm sure Alex Smith wasn't in on that plan. If Dan Snyder's,
maybe he was.
No, Dan Snyder's master plan to snooker, and who else was in on it? Andy Reid. He didn't know. He wants Jason Garrett fired so bad that he was willing to roll the dice on Pat Mahomes, and it just got lucky and worked out.
I think Alex Smith took one for the team, because if he can't get medically cleared, like all that money is going to be guaranteed.
That's true.
He's going to get all that money. So I think true. Alex Smith was.
Well, of all the guys you think is going to get hit like that, I mean, Alex Smith's not a running quarterback. You figured he would have been safe. But getting back to the actual football concerns on Washington's offense, one thing that I will add about Adrian Peterson is that his primary blocking right guard is also out for the season. The Redskins, the offensive line is I think we have 2 starters from our original 5 that aren't on IR for the rest of the season. So that may be some of what Peterson's going up against. But the other concern I've got, in our first meeting about a month ago, Zeke Elliott was pretty much contained.
Yeah, so
right?
You guys shut him down. 30-something yards? I think Dak Prescott was actually the leading rusher in that game.
But since then, the Redskins' defense, that front 4 that people have made such a big deal about, they're giving up a lot of running yardage the past few weeks, and unlike last year when the Redskins' defense at this point in the season was literally, well, let's just say it was like the South Carolina defense. You didn't even know who these guys were anymore. Like, they weren't players who had been in camp. They were just signing whoever they could sign. All right, the Redskins' defense right now is healthy. They're healthy. So I don't know what the problem is there. I don't know if it was just frustration with the offense not producing or what, but that's my big concern going into the Cowboys game on Thursday, is that if Zeke is getting up off the ground doing that stupid spoon thing with his mouth all day long, we have no chance. We have no chance.
We just pulled it up. Last time we played a few weeks ago, 33 yards on 15 carries for Ezekiel Elliott, and since then, particularly the last 2 weeks, Elliott has been on fire.
Yeah,
I mean, he has been a man-child out there. He's at just short of 1,300 total yards for the season. So, can you guys contain Zeke again? I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I mean, on paper, we absolutely can. But again, this is going into like the past few weeks. Teams that haven't been able to run the football against anybody have been able to run it against Washington. So I don't know where that's coming from. There's no injuries. I mean, everybody that's up front that was stopping the run early in the season, they're still there.
Look, it's a long season, and we've seen teams year after year who get off to hot starts and look really good the first few weeks, and at some point they kind of revert back. And by the end of the season, you're like, well, what happened to so-and-so? What happened to such-and-such team? And maybe they just overachieved a little bit. Your Redskins, man, you think maybe you guys were were kind of overshooting things
on offense.
I thought you were pretty good
on offense. Yes, but I'm sticking to this defensive line and linebacker question. There's a ton of talent on the Washington roster. I told you going into the season that if that defense was healthy this year, that they were going to shock some people, and they've been in the top 10 consistently all season. But the past couple weeks, not so much. So they're going to have to get back on track if Washington is going to win in Dallas, or should I say in Arlington. Loyal listener to the show. What?
I was just saying, I thought you were taking a shot there. Our stadium's not even in Dallas. I was getting ready to say, you guys' stadium is like in a whole different state.
I didn't say that. Because Washington, D.C. is not a state, so there's no way for it to be in that state.
It doesn't matter. It wasn't in that
geographically challenged, man, you.
I can't help you subscribe to lots of fake news.
All I did was state a fact that your stadium is in Arlington, Texas. If you find that insulting, maybe you should take that up with Jerry Jones. I didn't put it
in Arlington.
Okay, well, then that's all I said. Was that it's in Arlington?
It is,
and you got defensive about
it. I thought you were
because you clearly have. I'm not being allowed to make my point.
Listeners want to hear your point.
You clearly have some deep-seated insecurity about that, but we can talk about it later, man. It's all good. It's fine. I love you guys.
I don't have any deep.
If we're going to have a chance down there in Arlington, Texas, right outside of Dallas, sort of near Dallas. Then we're going to have to stop Zeke. I mean, there's no question about that. If Zeke runs for 100 yards, hell, I'll say if he runs for 85 yards and if he scores, that game's over.
If Ezekiel Elliott is allowed 4 or 5 yards of carry, no chance, because that's going to open up the passing game.
What's the over-under on points for this Redskins offense? I mean, not necessarily saying that'll be the score.
Well, you guys beat us last time with what, 20, 23, something like that.
So I mean, I think 20 points is sort of the over/under.
I think you've at least got to get. I think you've at least got to get to 20.
I think this game could very easily come down to turnovers. Also, very easily come down to turnovers, like a lot of football games do.
Yeah. The Redskins are trending down right now, and the Cowboys seem to be trending up. I'm not sure that I'm entirely thrilled about that, but it is what it is. The Carolina Panthers, the other team in our box, BG, we talked about. I don't know what to make them. They go out, they get pounded on national TV by Pittsburgh.
They looked good in the first quarter, but it just felt like they could not match the intensity. We didn't talk about that game last week.
Yeah. They go up there, they get drilled. This past Sunday, they go to Detroit. Ron Riveras goes for the 2-point conversion, goes for the win on the road. No bueno. They fall at the Lions. All week long now, Ron Riveras had to defend himself on his play call.
That's the question. It's not going for it. It's the play call.
Hey, my question to you is, the Carolina Panthers right now sit at 6-4. If you take out the one monster season they had a few years ago, Ron Riveras, his career record is a few games above 500.
Yeah.
It's pretty average. We both feel like there's a lot more talent on this team. This team is too talented to be 6-4. If the Carolina Panthers fail to make the playoffs, and they've got a huge one this week with Seattle, because Seattle's back to 5-5. They're nipping at their heels. If they fail to make the playoffs, should we really start talking about whether or not Ron Rivera's job is safe?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. The way this season got off to a start, I mean, and the thing down there, maybe Norv Turner makes that call. I don't know, but if you're Rivera in that situation, no matter what is going on, you've got to be involved in that decision-making process. And to me, this is a Pete Carroll Super Bowl situation. Man, you got a 255-pound quarterback. Run him to the outside. Give him the option to throw the ball if somebody's open. Otherwise, there is no way they stop a determined Cam Newton, who knows that if he scores, the game's over and he walks to the sideline, even if he gets hit hard.
Yeah,
I don't get it. I don't get that at all. That's inexcusable. No offense to Cam, to put the ball in his hands in a way that does not play to his strengths. I mean, good quarterbacks have a hard time completing passes from the 3-yard line.
Right.
So, I'm sorry, not good quarterbacks, good passing quarterbacks.
Yeah, Cam, from that distance, Cam Newton is such a physical freak, and I mean that in a positive way.
I would put their chances of scoring on a Cam Newton run there at 85 to 90%. There's no way they got him down.
To me, just the I don't want to say vitriol, but the amount of criticism that Rivera's gotten, and he's gotten it really all year long because the report on him was Riverboat Ron, the gambler Ron taking chances. And really, they've been conservative.
The announcers who typically do Panthers games were actually talking about that earlier this season. Talking about they went back and showed some stats on Rivera from his first season, and he's never been a gambler.
Yeah, he's not really.
I don't know where that came from.
I don't know, man. But I totally agree with you. I think if they wind up, and this week is huge because, like I said, there's a group of teams that are right now. I think Carolina's sitting in the 5 spot. The Vikings are at 6, and right behind them, you've got.
You look at their schedule too, man. You got the Saints coming up twice. You've got a game against Tampa Bay, I think, which you could probably say they'll win, even though it's on the road though.
After that, you're going to Cleveland,
right? Cleveland,
and then you finish up Saints, Falcons, Saints,
and the Falcons have always won that late game against the Panthers. The year that Carolina only lost 2 games, one of them was the last game of the season against the Falcons. I mean,
Atlanta is going to be. I think Atlanta is going to be one of those teams that, at that point in the season, maybe they're still floating around. Maybe in Week 16 they're still hanging on to a playoff hope.
Right? No. Well, I mean, they definitely blew that one game where they got up to 4-4 and then just go and lay an egg. But here's the thing: the Panthers, they have 5 remaining games. Is that right? And 6. Okay. And I mean, I think 2 more losses seems really probable.
Yeah.
Really probable.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe they go 3-3.
Well, I was going to say, if
I think right now I would pick them to win this game against the Seahawks in Charlotte
at 1:00.
I like their chances against Seattle coming all the way across the country to play that early game. But they probably win at Tampa. But man, that game against the Falcons that's going to always be crazy. Both games against the Saints, man, the Saints might be. I'm trying to say, is there a team right now that could beat the Saints? No. Mm-mm. I like the Rams at home.
I would like the Saints on the if they wind up in New Orleans. I'm taking New Orleans.
Yeah, man. I mean, so
if they wind up the top seed in the NFC, they're going to the Super Bowl because I don't see anybody going to New Orleans and beating them.
Oh no.
Can
you imagine? Can you imagine the scenario if that played out? That team on artificial turf no. The Saints they've gotten into a different gear, and it's just unfortunate for Carolina because I think one of those games, if it had happened the first 4 games, I think Carolina took it. But the Saints are on a different level now.
They're on a different level now.
And then you've got both those games coming up.
So both agree, Carolina Panthers. If you're listening to the show, which let's face it, there's no reason you're not, you better get it turned around if you want to keep your coach because I think the move on from Ron Rivera crowd is growing.
Well, let's throw this too. You've got an owner who didn't hire him.
Bingo, bing, bing, bing.
I mean, so this guy, he seems to want to cut ties with as much Richardson stuff as possible. From what I understand, he inquired about taking that statue down and was just found out that he couldn't do it.
They can't take it down.
And it's going to cost.
If the Panthers wind up 9-7, barely sneak in the playoffs, maybe miss it, I think Ron Rivera is coaching for his job next year.
Unless they draw Washington and they go to Washington for a home game when they're guaranteed to win.
Well, that would assume that Colt McCoy keeps the machine rolling. And
I mean, I didn't want to have to say, but we're going to beat y'all 70-0. Have you ever watched Colt McCoy play?
I did.
We've been holding him back.
When he was at Texas, he was amazing. I was a big Colt McCoy fan.
We've been holding him back just for this game.
Alex Smith scheming on this.
Hot take, man. Alex Smith isn't even really hurt.
Probably not.
It was all fake.
I don't doubt it.
It's all fake.
The whole thing is rigged to make sure we keep Jason Garrett.
It's fit well. It could either be to beat you guys 70-0 or to lose and make sure Jason Garrett stays. Either way, we win.
Yeah. BG on our
I
picks
cracked
list.
myself up. That was a
Last
legitimate
week,
laugh.
we both went 6-4.
Oh, I'm so
You could have picked up a game last night, but the whatever it was, the 2.5 points that the Rams gave up cost you.
Yeah.
You stay 3 games behind, so let's get to it. Thanksgiving Day, first one on the slate. The Chicago Bears at the Detroit Lions. The Lions are getting 4.5 points. BG, I'm taking the Bears.
Taking the Bears, man.
I'm going to ride the Bears to the
I've
wheels
said
fall
they're
off,
going to
man.
win this division. I'm really impressed with them. I'm
Yes.
really impressed with them. They're kind of turning into a team I find myself pulling for. They're one of those teams from my childhood that just screams NFL. We've talked about that, right? There are certain teams, certain matchups when you see them on a Sunday night, you're going to flip. You're done flipping channels.
And I don't know what it is. When they were good, they had a stretch a few years ago where they were really tough.
Yeah,
Before Jay Cutler, I don't know. Maybe it was the whole Rex Grossman thing.
Sexy Rexy, baby.
I couldn't get into the Bears, but I don't know. I'm with you. For some reason, I like this team.
Well, I mean, your boy Trubisky's at quarterback.
Maybe
I mean,
the subconscious.
I guess North Carolina can sort of claim him, although one wonders what in the heck was going on in Chapel Hill while he was playing, because he's unstoppable up there.
I think 8 games. He won 8 games when he was there.
But yeah, I think a lot of this is play calling, man. I think coaching in the NFL, like I say in college, coaching matters less and less. In the NFL, I think coaching is starting to matter more and more.
Here you go. We'll save the big one for last. So we'll go to the nightcap on Thanksgiving. The Falcons at the Saints. Sure, the Falcons let one. I'm not convinced they didn't let one slip away Sunday against the Cowboys. The Saints are giving up 13.5 in this one. It's a big number.
It is
for a short week against a division rival.
I think the Saints win it. I think the Falcons score a lot of points. I'm going to pick the Falcons to cover this.
I think this was a 6-point game early in the year.
Yeah.
The Saints, they've been rolling along.
It is in New Orleans.
It's in New Orleans.
I want to take the Saints, man.
Yeah, I was going to say, 13.5 is a big number on a short week.
In an NFL game?
In an NFL game on a short week.
But the NFL is starting to veer more towards some blowout games, though.
This is basically the Atlanta Falcons season.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is it.
No question.
If they lose this one, they're playing for draft position. I think they're going to come out firing. I don't know if they win.
No, I don't think they win.
I don't know if they win, but I think it's going to be closer.
There's anybody in the NFC that can beat the
touchdowns.
Saints right now.
Seahawks at the Panthers. This is a 1:00 game. The Seahawks coming all the way across the country. The Panthers 3.5 points favorites in this one. Give me the Carolina Panthers. I think they get the win. Like I said, I think the early kick is a big thing here. Seattle has never really done well coming east on those early kickoffs.
You're picking a half game spread basically. You're just giving the 3 because of the stadium. I think the Panthers they're 4 points better than the Seahawks at home on a 1:00 kick. So yeah, I'll go with the Carolina Cats too.
The Cats and the Packers at the Vikings on Sunday night. Minnesota giving up 3.5 in this one. It's an old. You love those old school NFL matchups.
Both of these teams falling apart. I mean, just neither one of these teams are playing really good football right now. Man, let me think. What do I want to do with this? I'm gonna take the Vikings. I think they bounce back. There's something not right about Green Bay right now. I'll take the. Why are you calling me? Am I calling you?
No, you're calling me.
How did I call you? I was looking at my picks.
Give me Aaron Rodgers and the Packers.
Really? Okay.
I don't know.
You've got that thing going on with Aaron Rodgers and the points, right?
I don't know. Really, I'm with you. What's going on up there? I think at some point when Aaron Rodgers' career is over, we're going to look back and go, man, that guy was amazing. He might be the best. He might be one of the 2 or 3 best quarterbacks that we will ever see in our lifetime. And this guy's going to wind up with 1 Super Bowl. They're going to fire Mike McCarthy at the end of the season. Who knows who's going to come in and replace him? I joke about Garrett all the time, but when you fire a guy, you never know if the next guy is going to be better or worse. But I think there's a good chance Aaron Rodgers winds up with 1 Super Bowl, and we're all going to
Super Bowl appearance, and he won it.
Yeah, and we're all going to be sitting here wondering, How in the heck did Green Bay waste an Aaron Rodgers? I don't know. But
Well,
this week,
you know what? They wasted the guy before him too.
They sure did. But give me the Packers. I think they get back and get a win Sunday night. So finally, Thanksgiving afternoon, the midday game, the Dallas Cowboys host the Washington Redskins. The Cowboys lead the all-time series 70-45-2, owning the Washington Redskins. This line went from 5 up to 9.5 the other day. Now it's back down to 7.5 as we make our picks right now. BG, I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to come in and steamroll the Redskins. Give me the Cowboys. I'll give you the touchdown. I think this is a 10 to 14 point win.
This would have been a really good football game a month ago. Not much left on the Washington roster on the offensive side of the football. I'm with you. I'm going to go with the Cowboys.
I don't know that I would have given you 9.5.
Well, the point spread wouldn't have been 9.5 if Alex Smith
Well,
was
but
healthy.
yesterday it was 9.5.
Yeah, well, Alex Smith was hurt yesterday. He got hurt
But
last
what I'm
week.
saying is the spread is down to 7.5 now.
Well, yeah, well,
I'm saying
9.5 got a little too high.
I don't know that I would have given you 9.5 because I could see this thing being 24-14.
I could see this thing being 35-7.
But 7, I'll give you a touchdown a little more. So I'll take the Cowboys, and that is it for what is this, episode 81.
Just gonna have to see which Redskins defensive line shows up. That's gonna be a big key to that game.
Doesn't matter. They're going to lose anyway. That's
Well,
it.
why
for
even do
episode
the show,
81.
man? Why
I don't
even do
know
the
why
show?
we're doing the
Why
show.
are we doing
Just
this
shut
show?
the dang thing down. Whatever.
Very angry person for a team that you think you're gonna win, and then you're yelling.
I don't want to win. I want the dude fired, man.